वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुएव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे रामा राम राम हरे हरे। समस्त वैष्णवृंद की जय। नामाचार्य दास ठाकुर जी की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। Good morning, dear devotees. I welcome you all to Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call for this mid-morning session. Thank you all for joining. Please forgive me for stopping in static chanting. This is Shivani from Ashton, Virginia. Let us move to the next part of the sessions. Today class will be given by Her Grace Preethi Vilasini Mataji on Sri Caitanya Bhagavata-Madhya Khanda chapter 23 verses 460 to 474. May I know who will have joined this morning?
Hare Krishna Shivani Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Vinita Gandharvika Devi Dasi from College Station, Texas, and I'm wishing everyone happy Akshaya Tritiya. And thank you, Kirtida Mataji, for that beautiful, beautiful recitation. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Vinita Gandharvika Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru and Gauranga ki jai. Thank you so much for joining. All glories to your services. Happy Akshaya Tritiya to all. Welcome to the call, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, go ahead, Yashamati.
No. Mataji, you can go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Shivani Mataji, Danvat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, Guru Maharaj's now assembled Vaishnavas. This is Kirti Sundari Dasi, and happy Akshaya Tritiya to everyone.
Hare Krishna, Kirti Sundari Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru and Gauranga ki jai. Thank you so much for joining in the beautiful Bhagavad Gita recitation. Happy Akshaya Tritiya to all. Welcome to the call, Mataji. All glories to your services. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga and all the assembled devotees. This is Yashamati Priya Devi Dasi from Cincinnati, and happy Akshaya Tritiya to everyone.
Hare Krishna, Yashamati Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru and Gauranga ki jai. Thank you so much for joining every day and giving a beautiful association. All glories to your services, Mataji. Happy Akshaya Tritiya to all. Welcome to the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Neetu from Baltimore.
Hare Krishna, Neetu Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru and Gauranga ki jai. Thank you so much for joining on daily basis. Welcome to the call, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Mataji. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Once again, I welcome you all for this mid-morning session. Thank you all for joining. I would like to start by sharing a quote by Srila Prabhupada ji. We are giving you prasadam. By eating, you one day will become Krishna conscious. Simply by eating. Because you are so dull, you cannot understand the philosophy. You know the belly like the animals. So therefore, we are giving you facility. Alright? Fill up your belly and you will be infected. As you take foodstuff from an infected area, you become infected with some disease. So this is Krishna infected, Prashadam. You take it and one day you'll be diseased with Krishna consciousness. Fuji, April 30th, 1976, Shri Prabhupada ki Jai. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Today we're very fortunate to have Her Grace Preethi Vilasini Mataji. Mataji will be enlightening us on the Sri Caitanya Bhagavata-Madhya Khanda, chapter 23, verse 460 to 474. Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances. Preethi Vilasini Mataji, thank you for giving your valuable time and association. Waiting eagerly to hear from you. Welcome to the call, Mataji. Shri Prabhupada ki Jai, Guru and Gauranga ki Jai. Please take over the call. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Thank you, Shivani Mataji, for your warm welcoming. And thank you, Kirtida Sundari Mataji, for that very beautiful recitation of the Bhagavad Gita. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Mukham karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yadkrpatamaham vande Shri Gurum Deenatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Krishna Chaitanya Ishwaram Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Ajanulambita-bhujau kanakavadato sankirtanaicapitarau kamalayadakshau Vishwambarau dvijavarau yugadharmapalau Vande jagatpriyakarau karunavatarau Jayati Jayati Deva Krishna Chaitanya Chandro Jayati Jayati Kirti Tasya Nitya Pavitra Jayati Jayati Bhrityas Tasya Vishweshwamurte Jayati Jayati Nrityam Tasya Sarva Priyanam. Hare Krishna. We are very happy to be covering Sri Caitanya Bhagavat today. And the section of Sri Caitanya Bhagavat that we are covering today is how Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as Nimai Pandit, he walked through the streets of Navadvip along with all his associates to go and chastise Chandikazi. So that is the chapter we are looking. So before we get into the contents for today, I just have some questions to ask so that we can start getting a little more interactive. And my questions are, after Nimai Pandit went and chastised Chandikazi, and Chandikazi spoke about how a half man, half lion form of the Lord came and told him that whatever he did was terrible because he broke the mridanga of the Lord, and he learned his lesson. After that, where did Nimai Pandit go? That is the question.
Lavecha Sridhar's house.
Yes, Kolavecha Sridhar's house. And Kolavecha Sridhar had a very precious commodity. What was it?
Pot which is very
The iron
rusted.
pot.
The iron pot.
Yes, it was an iron pot. Very nice. And what purposes was the iron pot used for?
For the external purpose, I
Oh,
mean.
for external purposes.
External.
And how did Nimai Pandit take the water?
He drank the water from that pot.
Very happily, very enthusiastically, with lot of love, he took that water. And why did he take that water from that pot? What did he say? What was his reasoning?
He was a pure devotee of.
Wonderful. He was a pure devotee. So we saw that when you take water remnants from a pure devotee, it is very purifying. In his Bhakta Bhav, he accepted water from Sridhar's, Kolavecha Sridhar's iron pot. See, the last verse that we saw yesterday was, the Lord drank water from such a pot to reveal the glories of devotional service and to show that from the spiritual point of view, everything belonging to a Vaishnava is very pure. This is what the Lord wanted to show the world. Anything that belongs to a Vaishnava is very pure. Even if that pot was used for external purposes, still everything about a Vaishnava is very pure. And also through this pastimes, he revealed the glories of devotional service. Devotional service, a person who's practicing devotional service and the process of devotional service is extremely potent. Okay, to show that Mahaprabhu, he drank the water from Sridhara's house. Now, let's see what else Mahaprabhu is going to reveal to us through this pastime. So, this is verses 460 to 465. धाम्बिकेरा रत्नपात्र दिव्यजलासने आचुकपिबार कार्या नदेके नयने ये से द्रव्य सेवकेरा सर्वभावेकाय निवेदादि विध विधिरवो अपेक्षा नहीं चाहि अल्पद्रव्य दासे ओ नादिले बले खाई तारा साक्षी ब्राह्मणेर कुडद्रव्य काई अवशेषे सेवा करे करे आत्मसात तार साक्षी वनवासे युधिष्ठिर शाक सेवक कृष्णेर पिता माता पत्नी बाई दासबाई कृष्णेर द्वितीय आरनाई ये रूप चैतन्य दासे से ही रूप है दासे कृष्ण करी बरे पारेय विकार्य. So the verses by Krishnadas Kaviraj the verses by, what did I say? Vrindavan Das Thakur is, even if he is thirsty, the Lord does not glance at the water that is offered by a proud person in an opulent, jeweled water cup. Okay, so let's take the first sentence. So he's telling that even if the Lord is very, very thirsty, the Lord does not glance on the water that is offered by a proud person in an opulent jeweled cup. So is there some pastime you can think of where the Lord rejected the opulent offering of somebody?
Duryodhana.
Duryodhan. Nice, yes. So Duryodhan invited the Lord to come and dine with him, but the Lord rejected. Why? Because there was no devotion. He just wanted to move a political strategy, right? So he rejected. Next, the Lord eats with full satisfaction any item offered by his servant, regardless of whether the offering was made according to regulations. Any pastime you can think of for this?
Hare Krishna Mataji. When Lord went to Vidura's house,
Correct.
Vidura
Yes.
offered the peel of the bananas instead of the fruit itself. So he didn't
Perfect.
even look at it. And I think is from Ramayan. Shabari Mataji gives the tasted fruits to Ramachandra to check the taste of the fruit and then before offering to the Lord. So generally we don't give the juta, right? But still Rama accepts the fruits of Shabari Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So just a small thing there. It was really not Juta because most of the versions of Ramayana don't say it was Juta. Later it was edited a little to reflect like it was Juta. But she
Okay.
did check the taste, meaning she checked the taste from the tree, whether the tree was offering fruits. Yes,
Okay.
yes. But
Thanks
thank
for
you.
correcting. Thanks for
Yeah, no
correcting,
problem,
Mataji.
no
Hare
problem, no
Krishna.
problem. No problem. In Bhav, we can say certain things. That is fine. No problem. But you're right, because the taste was definitely checked if the tree was offering good fruits, which fruits were perfectly ripe. So she made an assessment and then she picked the best of the fruits and she saved it for the Lord. Yeah, after
And
making an
one more
assessment.
thing also, Mataji, Sudama offers the chipped rice to Krishna, which was borrowed from the neighbor's house to be offered as a gift to Krishna when he went to meet him in Dwaraka.
Very nice. Yes, definitely. Thank you so much. Very nice examples, Mataji. Very, very nice. So the Lord eats with full satisfaction any item offered by his servant, whether the offering was followed with rules or regulations. Even banana peels are okay for the Supreme Lord. All right. So very nice. Then the next. If his servant does not offer an item because he considers it too insignificant, then the Lord forcibly eats it. What is the exact example for this?
Sudama.
Sudama, exactly. If the servant
Raghunath
does,
Goswami.
Raghunath Das
Yes,
Goswami.
Raghunath Das.
Very good. So if the servant does not want to offer, he's hesitating because it is too insignificant. Still, the Lord forcibly snatches it and eats it. Very nice. Two perfect examples. Then the evidence of this is when the Lord ate Sudama Brahman's broken rice in Dwaraka. The Lord even accepts the remnants of his servants. Example for this, the Lord accepts the remnants of his servants.
Again, Raghunath Das Goswami.
Yes, Raghunath Das Goswami. Very nice.
And Krishna's pastimes with Gopa friends.
Yes.
Chains of food in the when they go for the cow herding. So they share the food packed by different gopis, and the Gopa friends, along with the Gopa friends, Krishna shares the food. Even if they have chewed, he takes from their mouth and they enjoys that, relishes that food.
Wonderful.
Madhumangal.
Mangal, yes, very, very wonderful. Very sweet pastime seen as. And also, this was seen during the Pandavas' exile to the forest when the Lord ate the remnants of Yudhishthir's leafy vegetables. Which pastime is this?
Durvasa Rushikam and
Correct. Shakhanam. Yes, so everybody finished eating. Draupadi had this Akshaya Patra, and there she had some Shakhanam. She didn't wash it well like many of us do. We don't wash, at least I don't wash pots properly. So, and one grain was sticking out, and Krishna very lovingly accepted it. And if Krishna is happy, Jagat Tushtam, the entire world is happy. Very nice. Krishna's father, mother, wife, and brother are all his servants. Krishna does not recognize anyone other than his servants. This later Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, he very emphatically writes in one of the purports, in one of the commentaries, that does Krishna accept what devotees of other demigods offer him? Answer is no, he says, because their love is not one-pointed to Krishna. Krishna accepts only things from devotees whose love is one-pointed towards him. Therefore, it is mentioned here, Krishna's father, mother, wife, and brother are all his servants. Krishna does not recognize anyone other than his servants. The Lord accepts the form that his servants meditate on, and Krishna's servant can even sell him. Who are the ones who are capable of selling Krishna?
Sridhar.
Oh yeah, why not? Yes. Anyone else? Krishna, who was even capable of selling Krishna? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or Krishna?
Mataji, Satyabhama,
Satya, yeah. Very sweet pastime, right? Yeah. They're even capable of selling Krishna. Okay. Okay. So here we have Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur telling, for an elaboration of verse 462, one should see Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, chapter 81. This is the story of Sudama Brahmana, which we will do today. That will be the key focus for today. And then for an elaboration of verse 463, which is Yudhishthir Maharaj's Shakanam, Krishna tastes, for that one should see Mahabharat Vanaparva, chapter 261 to 262. Okay. Now he says, if anyone in the material world has many possessions, then he naturally becomes proud. And don't think that a person only who has material possessions is proud. Even a person who's practicing bhakti, who's practicing devotion can become very, very proud. Okay. Such a proud person then takes shelter of misconceptions like, I am the best, I am rich, I am the best collector of ingredients for worshipping the Lord. See how pride can seep in. I am the greatest devotee. Even when we are practicing devotion, even that time also there is a lot of pride that seeps in. I am the best chanter, I am the best devotee, I am the best Harikatha, a person, I am the best of everything. And the pride can go so much to think that even Vaishnavas like Sridhar Swami are Mayavadis. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is telling how in this material world, we all, when we have something, we have beauty, wealth, power, whatever we may have, it all brings in some pride, and this pride seeps in not only in the material possessions that we have in the mundane world, but it also seeps into devotion, that pride. So Gaurasundar doesn't glance at such people who make offerings with a lot of pride. Gaurasundar is not happy when we have a lot of pride in what we are doing. So the awe and veneration of this material world is unable to oblige the Supreme Lord, who is the object of Vishramba Sakya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya Rasas, or transcendental mellows. So the Lord is only interested in his pure devotees. If we think I have something and with that power I can attract the Lord is not impressed by that. We may think that I am so perfect in everything. I'm such a great devotee. Once we have that thought in our mind, the Lord is not even willing to look at us. The Supreme Lord forcibly yet affectionately takes even an insignificant item that is given by his pure devotee, and the Lord ignores items offered according to proper etiquette by wealthy, proud persons, like the examples we saw. The Supreme Lord affectionately accepted the broken rice of Sudama Vipra, who was the resident of Sudama Puri, Dwaraka, which is modern day Porbandar. The Lord accepted with pleasure the leafy vegetables collected in the forest offered by Yudhishthir Maharaj during the exile. The wife, the father, the mother, the friend, and the servant of Krishna, who is an object of worship, are certainly all his servants. The Supreme Lord's service, which is the wealth, those servants who are associates of the Lord's eternal pastimes, is executed by different servants in different rasas. So this is what Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur has to tell us. In the case of Kolavechar Sridhar, the Lord did not see the opulence of the pot, or the Lord did not see whether Kolavechar Sridhar was even, in one sense, giving him a big feast. Okay, he didn't care about any of the externals. He only saw the devotion of Kolavechar Sridhar, and he accepted that water with all his heart, simply because Kolavechar Sridhar's only business was being a pure devotee without any sort of pride. Okay, so the key thing is we may not have anything at all, but then if we are willing to offer whatever we have with love and devotion, the Lord automatically accepts that. But never think that you can purchase the Lord by flaunting what you have, even if it may be certain practices of so-called bhakti. So that is the message that is given by Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. We continue from there. सेवक वत्सल्य प्रभु चारि वेद गाय सेवकेर स्थाने कृष्ण प्रकाशे सदाई. The four Vedas declare the Lord is affectionate to his servants. Krishna always manifests himself to his servants. So everywhere in the Shastras we say Krishna is Bhakta Vatsalya. He has got Bhakta Vatsalya. He is always taking care of his devotees. He's very affectionate towards his devotees. So Krishna will manifest himself to his servants wherever there is love and devotion. Nayana bhari adika dasira prabhava hena dasya bhava Krishne kare anuraga. Behold the influence of the Lord's servants to the full satisfaction of your eyes, and then become attached to Krishna in that mood of service. Alpahena namahina Krishna dasa nama alpa bhagye dasa nahi kare bhagavana. Do not consider the designation servant of Krishna as something insignificant, for the Supreme Lord does not accept a less fortunate person as a servant. Alpa bhagye dase nahi kare bhagavan. So one should not think that the servant of Krishna, after all, he's a servant. What does he have? One should not think that the servant of Krishna, like Kolavechar Sridhar, is somebody who's very insignificant. Being the servant of Krishna is the highest position. In this world, a material servant is considered to be in a low position. But then we all say we are dasa or dasi. So is that a very low position? No, it is the highest position. It is nothing insignificant, because the Supreme Lord does not accept a less fortunate person as a servant. Alpa bhagya dasa nahi kare bhagavan. So each one of us, if we have the mercy of Krishna to become his devotee, then we should be considered the most fortunate ever. So Sridhara, from an external perspective, he appeared like a beggar. He didn't have anything. He just had one rusted iron pot. But does it mean that he's got Alpabhagya? No. He's the one who's got the greatest fortune. Why? The greatest fortune is to get the mercy of the Lord and to have devotion in the heart. Externally, a devotee may appear very impoverished. He may appear to be suffering in all material circumstances. But then if the devotion in the heart has not gone, if that person's bhakti is still flourishing, irrespective of the circumstances, then that person is regarded to have received the highest mercy of Krishna. He is the greatest of all Bhagyavantas. He is the one who's got the maximum mercy. So let's see what Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur is telling. He's telling the topmost persons of this material world, they are engaged in the service of the Supreme Lord. It's not that only poor people are engaged in the service of the Supreme Lord. You see, even great personalities in this world will be engaged in the service of the Supreme Lord. External circumstances may be good, it may not be good. That is irrelevant. Okay? Devotion is the business of the heart. So even topmost people in this material world are engaged in the service of the Supreme Lord. Not understanding this fact, some conditional souls with high aspiration ascertain various non-devotional activities as sadhana. Yet the goals they ultimately achieve as a result of sadhana are all examples of aversion to Lord's service. So there are some people who may attribute non-devotional activities as sadhana. Sadhana means it should be devotional. But there could be some people who are attributing all sorts of non-devotional activities. Like if I have, you must have seen this is a very common understanding among neophyte devotees who have not understood bhakti properly. They think if a person is flourishing very well, then his sadhana is good. That's why Krishna is merciful towards him. Okay, this is a very common misconception. But there could be a person who's undergoing many material tribulations. The common understanding that some people may have is, oh, this person is undergoing many problems simply because Krishna is not showing any mercy towards him. No, it could be the other way around also. Maybe Krishna is being extremely merciful towards them. That's why that person is undergoing so many tribulations, because that is Krishna's way of purifying us. So just because a person may, have certain advancements, certain materially happy situations, it doesn't mean that he's a great devotee. But at the same time, we should understand that just because a person is very poor also, he might not be a great devotee. Being a devotee is something that is very internal. It has nothing to do with externals. Again, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is telling, when a human being's propensity for the service of the Supreme Lord is fully awakened, he becomes supremely glorious. The Lord's devotees who always desire the benefit of others pray that everyone's attachment for Krishna may increase. This is the mode of a devotee. Whether he has something or not, he will always pray so that everybody's attachment for Krishna will increase. The object of service is pleased only by service. The endeavor to fulfill the desires of the object of service is called as bhakti or devotional service. Such a beautiful definition. He says, the endeavor to fulfill the desires of the object of service is called as bhakti or devotional service. When we talk about love, in this world, love and lust. We say in this world there is only lust. Why do we say there is only lust? Because it is about satisfying myself. I love a person because I am satisfied in that relationship. Therefore, I love a person. That is the love of this material world. If I don't see any benefit, if I don't see any happiness, then why would I love some person, right? So therefore, it is mentioned that the so-called love of this world is only lust. But real love is only with Krishna. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati is telling us, what is that devotional service for Krishna? The endeavor to fulfill the desires of that object of love. Who's the object of love? It is Krishna. So our endeavors to fulfill the desires of Krishna, it's not about my desire. It is about Krishna's desires. Once we start thinking like that, I want to satisfy Krishna's desires, then it is called as devotional service. Sometimes what happens is, in the name of bhakti also, we are only trying to satisfy our desires. I want to achieve this as a part of my sadhana, so I'm doing this. I want to become famous Zoom speaker, so I will sit and study Shastras and I will present it in the best possible way. I want 100 people to tell me that I am a great sadhaka, so I will do sadhana. I do sadhana just to prove to somebody. So as long as this is our consciousness, it is not called devotional service. It is satisfaction for the self. You're just bloating your ego. That's all. But then he says the endeavor to fulfill the desires of Krishna, constantly thinking of Krishna. Will Krishna be satisfied by this? That is called as bhakti or devotion. This conviction is manifested in the hearts of the most fortunate persons. So who is Bhagyavan? The one who is really endeavoring to satisfy Krishna. This person is considered Bhagyavan, not a person who is trying to satisfy himself. He'll be satisfying himself either in the material sense or even the so-called quote-unquote devotional sense, trying to prove to the world how wonderful a devotee he is. Both are not Bhagyavan. Who is Bhagyavan? A person like Polavecha Sridhar, who's continuously worried about satisfying the senses of the Lord, who's worried about satisfying the desires of the Lord. Such a person is considered Bhagyavan, the most fortunate. Since the relishable taste of the Lord's service is not a subject matter of unfortunate people's realization, their good fortune is burned into ashes. The Supreme Lord does not award his service to such unfortunate people. So only a person who has this pure devotion is truly Bhagyavan. Now we may all be lamenting, oh, I don't have this true devotion, pure, at least I can say for myself, I don't have pure devotion, but at least by reading these pastimes of Kolavecha Sridhar and other pure devotees, we can gain some inspiration that we also want to follow in their footsteps. We also, instead of thinking only about ourselves, we should also start thinking about what Krishna wants, how to please Krishna, how to selflessly please Krishna. Then, once we start doing that, then we become Bhagyavan. Then we are an object of Krishna's mercy, and Krishna is ready to even sell himself for our sake. So it's a long process, but we can be hopeful that someday we will achieve this pure devotion. Bahukoti janmaye karila nija dharma ahinsara amayaya kare sarva karma ahanisha dasya bhave ye kare prarthana ganga labhyahaya kale bali narayana. One who for many millions of lifetimes executes all his occupational duties with sincerity and non-violence, and who day and night prays to the Lord in the mood of a servant, ultimately remembers Narayana at the time of death. So for millions of lifetimes, if we have executed our occupational duties, our Nija Dharma, with a lot of sincerity, following all the principles day and night, and then remembering Narayana in the mood of a servant, ultimately, at the time of death, one gets an opportunity to remember Narayana. Ante Narayana Smriti. That is the perfection of life, right? So there is also a verse in Srimad Bhagavatam. This is there in the 5th canto. In the 5th canto, there is this prayers of the residents of Jambudvipa, description of Jambudvipa. There, the translation is, after many, many births, when the results of one's pious activities mature, one gets an opportunity to associate with pure devotees. This is what Bhagavatam is telling. After many, many lifetimes, one gets an opportunity to associate with pure devotees. Then one is able to cut the bondage of ignorance, which bound him because of varied fruitive activities. So what is happening over a period of time, we are getting more and more involved in fruitive activities. For us to cut that bondage of fruitive activities, after many births of pious activities, finally we get an opportunity to associate with a pure devotee. When you start associating with pure devotee, this bondage of various fruitive activities gets chopped off, it gets cut. As a result of associating with devotees, one gradually renders service to Lord Vasudeva, who's transcendental. They become free from attachment to the material world, beyond the mind and words, and independent of everything else. That bhakti yoga, that devotional service to Lord Vasudeva is the real path of liberation. That is when one is fixed in Ante Narayana Smriti and he's able to perfect his life. So, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur also mentions, by praying for service to the Supreme Lord, one attains the good fortune of uttering the name Narayana and entering the water of the river Ganges at the time of death. That means at the time of death, one may have the good fortune of his ashes being immersed in the water of Ganges for ultimate purification or for the ultimate transfer to a spiritual world. Now, of course, this is not a must. It's not that everybody should have their ashes only washed in the Ganges or immersed in the Ganges. Wherever the Lord and his devotees are there, all these places are considered auspicious. But the point is, the consciousness should be fixed on Narayana. That is the point, okay? One should always think of Krishna. Then he continues. Tabehaya mukta sarva bhandira vinasha mukta hailehaya se govindera dasa. Then he attains liberation, being freed from all bondage. When one thus is liberated, he becomes a servant of Govinda. And what happens once you get liberated? After many births, you have the opportunity to associate with devotees. You're able to cut off from this bondage of birth and death, and you're thinking of Narayana, and then you get liberated and become free from all bondage, and you get the identity that you are the servant of Govinda. But to come to this point, what should you do? First and foremost thing, we should perform pure devotion without any pride. The devotion that attracts Krishna. Devotion for the pleasure of Krishna. Then we can come through all this process. And after getting liberated and getting the identity of being Govinda's servant, what happens? E vyakhya kare bhasha yakera samaje mukta sabha lila tanu kari Krishna bhaje. The explanation of those who comment on the scriptures is that liberated souls accept the body of suitable for the Lord's pastimes and engage in the worship of Krishna. So even after getting liberated, what happens? You accept a body that is suitable for the service of Krishna in the spiritual world, and you engage along with the Lord's pastimes and you worship Krishna in the spiritual world. So it's not that after liberation, our identity is dissolved. No, you continue to serve Krishna in the spiritual world. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he tells in his commentary on the Srimad Bhagavatam, Sridhara Swami quotes Sarvagnya, who is Vishnu Swami, and he says, Mukta api leelaya vigraham kritva bhagavantam bhajante. The eternally liberated persons accept bodies that are suitable for the Lord's pastimes and they engage in his worship. Even if you're getting liberated, even if you're going to the spiritual world. Even if you are on this world, you can remain liberated and engage in a suitable body that is favorable for the Lord's worship. Okay. 474, the last verse for today, and then we will dive into Sudama Charitra after this to get some very nice lessons and relish the commentaries of our acharyas. So before that, the last verse for today. Atta eva bhaktahaya ishvara samana bhaktastane prabhava mane bhagavana. Therefore, the devotees are as good as the Supreme Lord. The Lord agrees to be defeated by his devotees. So we see how a devotee is very, very special. Krishna is willing to be sold by his devotees, and the devotees are as good as the Supreme Lord because they are always thinking of Krishna and they are always serving Krishna. Therefore, a devotee like Sridhar is very special, and Krishna becomes subservient to such a devotee. Okay. So now I thought we will just relish a little bit from Srimad Bhagavatam, the Sudama Charitra, which is so beautiful. It gives us insights into how a devotee should be and how the Lord is just waiting to have that reciprocation with his loving devotee. So, in Srimad Bhagavatam, when Shukadeva Goswami begins talking about Sudama, actually Parikshit Maharaj first asks Shukadeva Goswami, he says, I want to hear more and more about the Lord. After all these senses, what is the use of all these senses? The senses should be absorbed in listening to the glories of the Lord. So I want to hear more about him. What else did the Lord do? That is when Shukadeva Goswami, he begins this very beautiful story. He says, Krishnasyasit saka kaschit brahmano brahma vittamaha virakta indriyarteshu prasannatma jitendriya. Krishnasya's asit saka kaschit brahmana. He doesn't tell the name. Actually, in the entire Bhagavatam, you will never see the name Sudama. That's interesting. Kaschit brahmana, some brahmana. There was one brahmana. That's all. But later we see from Padma Purana and other scriptures, the name of the brahmana is Sudama. But Bhagavatam doesn't declare the name directly. Krishna's Saka, there was one particular Saka, a friend, who was a Brahmana. He was Brahma Vittama. He was Virakta Indriyarteshu Prasannatma Jitendriya. That means the certain Brahmana friend named Sudama, he was very learned. He was Brahma Vittama. He was very learned in scriptures, but at the same time, he was very detached from sense enjoyment. Virakta, completely renounced. He was detached from all the Indriyartha, from all the enjoyment of the senses. His mind was very peaceful. He was Prasannatma and he was Jitendriya. The senses were subdued. So these are the qualities of Sudama. And this Sudama was an old friend of Sri Krishna. And how did he live? He lived like a householder. He maintained himself with whatever came of its own accord. And he and his wife and his children, they were extremely poor. They were suffering and emaciated from hunger. His wife was also very poorly dressed. And whatever food by chance they obtained, she would give it to her husband. And she remained fatigued from hunger, because she always thought about the well-being and the maintenance of her husband, like most wives do. Always thinking about how her husband is satisfied. Even she was ready to give away all the food, but she would not eat anything. She would ensure that her family was fed. She was a pativrata. She was very, very chaste. She was poverty-stricken. But one day she approached her husband with her face was dried up and she was trembling with fear. So why was she trembling with fear? Because she was very scared that her husband will reject the request that she's going to ask him. Okay. And why was she very sad? Why was she trembling and why was she appearing in front of her husband with a request? Because she was very unhappy that her husband was not properly fed. That was her desire. Her children and her husband should be properly taken care of. But yet she was trembling because she knew if she said something, her husband would be very unhappy. But still she gathered the strength and she went and told her husband, my dear Brahmana, isn't it true that the husband of Goddess of Fortune, Shriyapati, is a personal friend of yours? And he is, in fact, the greatest of all Yadavas. He is the supreme Lord. He is the supreme Brahman. He is very compassionate to the Brahmanas and he is willing to grant them shelter as soon as they ask. Nanu Brahman Bhagavata Saka Sakshat Shriyapati. Your Bhagavanta, the Supreme Lord, is your friend. He's your Saka. And he's Sakshat Shriyaprati. Brahmanascha Sharanyascha Bhagavan Satvata Rishabha. So he is giving shelter to all the Brahmanas. He is Shriyapati, yet he never rejects shelter to the Brahmanas. So actually the words that the wife chooses is also very appropriate. Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur says. He says that this Brahmana's wife, she anticipated every possible rejection of her husband. So she made her appeal very clear. The Brahmana might think, that Sudama might think, how could the husband of the Goddess of Fortune want to have a friend like me? Because she said, your Saka Shriyapati. For that, she replies by saying, Lord Krishna is Brahmanya. He is very, very favorably disposed to the Brahmanas. So Sudama might claim, actually, okay, the Lord may be Brahmanya. He might be very favorable to the Brahmanas, but I don't have any devotion to the Lord. But she replies saying that he is a great and wise personality who has taken shelter of the Lord. The Lord is Sarvaloka Sharanya. He is the one who is giving shelter to all living entities. So definitely there is no problem if the Brahman might go and ask something from Krishna, some mercy from Krishna. Okay, definitely Krishna will give charity. And not only that, that's why she uses the word, he's the Lord of the Sattvatas. He's the Lord of the Sattvatas means he's the member of the Yadu dynasty. So the member of the Yadu dynasty will not have any difficulty in protecting a simple Brahmana who has taken shelter of him. So like that, she composes her words in a way that Sudama will not have any arguments. So she goes and tells, oh, fortunate Brahmana, why this Lord, he's the real shelter of all the saints. He can definitely give wealth to you because you're suffering so much. So her point was she was just not able to see the suffering of her husband. She was telling, just go and take shelter of him. He can give you something for your sustenance. She tells he's the ruler of the Bojas, the Andakas, and he's staying in Dwaraka. So he has not left Dwaraka. He is very much staying there. And also, she says, he has given himself to anyone who simply remembers his lotus feet. He's not demanding for much. He's a very simple-hearted Lord. All that he wants is someone should remember his lotus feet, and he's ready to give himself. He's a spiritual master of the universe. So why will he not give simple material enjoyment, which is not even desirable? Devotees do not desire material enjoyment. But then the condition here was so bad that he had to keep up his life by eating at least a little. So if Krishna is willing to give himself to a person who has sought shelter at his lotus feet just once, then why will Krishna not give some little material enjoyment that is not even desirable? So she's telling that Krishna is staying in Dwaraka. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is telling he was not traveling outside Dwaraka at that point in time. So, in fact, the wife is apparently telling the husband that I've heard that he never leaves his capital city, Dwaraka, these days. He's living without outside engagement. So, because Sudama should not think that what if I go all the way there and ask for something and he's not even there? So the wife is very clearly telling at this point in time, he's not having any travel plans. We know his schedule, that he is not, scheduled to do international travel or even national travel at this point in time. He's sitting in Dwaraka without other engagements. So it will be very ideal if you go and ask. And moreover, the sense gratification is not very desirable. They are not going to give real satisfaction. The wife knows this very well, but still she wanted Sudama to go and at least see the Lord, because the Lord will ensure that the sustenance of Sudama is at least taken care of. Now, she was actually encouraging Sudama in a way that even if the Lord doesn't give anything, after all, this material sense gratification is all very mundane. Even if the Lord doesn't give anything, still, at least you will have the satisfaction of going and seeing the Lord, taking shelter at the Lord's lotus feet. That is very great. So for that reason, at least you should go. So like this, when his wife repeatedly implored him in various ways, this Brahmin, he thought to himself that, yes, this is the greatest achievement of life. If I go, I will get audience of the Supreme Lord. Okay, so he tells his wife, I need to take something with me as a gift. So please give me 1 second. I'm getting a call from work. Just sorry. I don't know why this happens when I'm giving class. 1 second. Okay, so he tells his wife that I just cannot go empty-handed. I have to take something. So please give me a nice gift that I can take that will please Krishna. So now he decided at least he will see his Lord. At least he can go and see Krishna after so many years. And this is a detail that everyone likes to follow. When we go to a friend's house or even when we go to the temple, we like to take some small gift for the Lord. Right? So like that, he tells his wife that I should take something. So just go get something. So at that time, they were so poor that Sudama's wife, she goes and she just begs some flat rice, that is some chipped rice, poha, from the neighboring Brahmanas. And she didn't even have a proper bag to pack it or a dabba to pack it. She just takes a torn piece of cloth and she ties that chipped rice and she takes it to present it to Krishna. So taking that flat rice, this Brahmin, he takes it from his wife and he goes off to Dwaraka. And while he's going to Dwaraka, he's constantly thinking, how will I take audience of Krishna? Krishna lives in a big palace. They are going to stop me at the entrance itself. Who's going to allow me to enter into Dwaraka? So thinking like that, he goes. But then he sees a few local Brahmanas. They were all entering into the city. And Vishwanath Chakravarti says generally the custom was never to stop Brahmanas. Brahmanas were allowed to freely enter into the capital city of Dwaraka. Others, they would check what they are doing, but then Brahmanas were highly respected. So Sudama, though he was not a local resident, still he joined some of the local Brahmanas. And to get to Krishna's palace, it was not easy. He had to pass through 3 guarded stations. And he went through 3 different gateways. And then he walked by the homes of all the devotees of Sri Krishna, who are the Andakas, the Vrishnis, and the Bhojas. And then finally, he went near one of the most opulent palaces that was belonging to Lord Hari's 16,108 queens, one of the palaces. And there, when he was seeing that beautiful palace, it appeared that he was almost attaining liberation. That is how, when you see something related to the Lord, it automatically brings us remembrance of the Lord. Now here, Sudama, he was looking at one of the queen's palaces and he felt like almost he was attaining liberation. And whose palace was it? Chakravarti Pad mentions from Padma Puran that it was indeed the palace of Rukmini. So he was at the doorway of Rukmini's palace. So at that time, Lord Achyuta, Achyuta is Krishna. The meaning of Achyuta is Nachyavati iti Achyuta, one who doesn't slip. Slip means, he doesn't slip down from his position, one thing. He doesn't leave the hand of a person who has taken his hand. Okay, if there's a person who has caught on to the feet of Krishna or the hand of Krishna, he doesn't leave them. He doesn't let go of them. That was also the meaning of Achyuta. So this is Achyuta. Achyuta was seated on Rukmini's bed. But when he saw the Brahmana at a distance, he immediately stood up and he went forward to meet him with great pleasure. And he goes and he embraces him with a lot of love. This Krishna, who is the Supreme Lord, he never forgets his devotee or he will never let go of his devotee. The minute he saw that his dear friend is at the gate, he could recognize him immediately and he went running. And he went in person. He didn't tell some guards, go fetch that person. No, he went running and with great pleasure, he embraced him. And what is the embrace of the Lord? The Lord is telling, I'm giving myself to you. That is the meaning of an embrace. And this lotus-eyed Supreme Lord, he's got beautiful eyes that are like lotus petals. He was in great ecstasy because he touched the body of his devotee. Now, devotees get great ecstasy when they touch the body of the Lord, right? But here is the Lord who's getting great ecstasy because he's embracing the body of his devotee. And his lotus petal-like eyes, just like sometimes in the early morning when you see lotus flowers or lotus leaves, there'll be small dewdrops, right, on top of that lotus petal. Like that, this Kamala Lochana, this beautiful eyed Lord, there was tears that was slowly dripping down his eyes, like dewdrops on lotus petals. Why? Because he was shedding tears of love. He was trembling and he was exhibiting symptoms of ecstasy because he was embracing his dear long-lost friend. Then he takes Sudama by his hand and then he seats Sudama on the bed. And the Lord who purifies this entire world, because his lotus feet, when it is washed by the waters of the river Ganges, that Ganges is purifying the entire world. But this Supreme Lord, he begins to wash the feet of his dear devotee and he sprinkled that water on his head. Just like Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. The remnants that have come from the mouth of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, be it the food or the water, is going to purify the entire world. But then he feels that he is getting purified when he is drinking the water that was there from the jug of Sridhara, Kolavecha Sridhar. So similarly, the Lord, he takes that water and he puts it, sprinkles on his own head. And then he offers him all objects of worship like kumkum and sandalwood, a guru. And he also offers him betel nut. And then he feeds him nicely, of course. And he also gives him a cow as donation. And what was happening? The goddess of fortune. Everybody is waiting for the sidelong glance of the goddess of fortune. But then this goddess of fortune, she stood up and she was fanning him with the chamara. And how was this Brahmin looking? He had torn clothes. His veins were all projecting out. No, they were jutting out because he was so skinny. The veins were all seen. And she's the goddess of fortune who nourishes this entire world. She was personally fanning this poor person. And everybody was astonished to see this scene. They were thinking, this Brahmin is so shabbily dressed. The goddess of fortune is fanning him. And Krishna is standing, serving him. And this Lord has embraced this Brahmin as if he were an older brother. The kind of affection that one would give to one's siblings, that kind of affection Krishna is giving to this Brahmin. So they took each other's hands, and Krishna and Sudama, they started talking about their school days. So he asks various questions. Did you get married after you left school? And I know that you're a great Brahmin, you're very renounced, you're not after material propensities, you're not after wealth, because he could see the condition of Sudama. And he talks about how their school days, and he says that, do you remember once both of us, we got stuck in the rain. There was an unseasonal storm. We got stuck there. And after our guru saw us the next day morning, when we were lost in the forest, we were trembling, we were shivering because there was floods. But the next day morning, when our spiritual master Sandipani Muni, when he came to see us, he saw our condition and he felt so bad for us. He said, you both have suffered so much for my sake, and the body is the most dear thing for a living entity, but you completely disregarded your own comfort. Therefore, I give you a boon that you will never forget whatever you have learned. The Vedic mantras will never lose their meaning for you. Okay? He says, Tushtoham bodh vijashreshta satya santu manorataha chandamsi ayatayamani. So yatayama means the food that loses its potency or taste after a few hours. So we all know from Bhagavad Gita, after 3 hours, when the food loses its taste, it's called as yatayama. Similarly, Vedic mantras can be the meaning of the Vedic mantras can be lost to a disciple if the disciple is not fixed in Krishna consciousness. Okay, so Srila Chakravarti Pad says, Sandipani Muni bless these two, Krishna and Sudama, that whatever they have learned, they will never forget it. They will always remain fixed in Krishna consciousness. That is the meaning of the blessing that was given by the spiritual master. So Krishna was reminding him, do you remember all this? I see that in your condition, you have never forgotten the essence of all the scriptures and you're very renounced. You're not after sense gratification. So like this, when Krishna was talking to him, Sudama says, actually, whatever was achieved, it is only by your mercy. He says, what could I possibly have failed to achieve? Oh, Lord of Lords. He looks at Krishna. He says, you are the universal teacher. I was able to personally live with you. And when I lived with you, I could understand anyone who comes in contact with you, each and every desire of his is fulfilled. So I had the great fortune of living with you in our spiritual master's ashram. Your body comprises of the absolute truth. You are indeed the form of the Vedas, and you are the source of all the goals of life. You took up residence at the school of our spiritual master, and that is simply one of your pastimes as an ordinary human being. It was my great fortune that I could even associate with you. If one person is associated with you, what more does he need to achieve? Now comes the point when Krishna glances at Sudama for that little offering that Sudama has brought. So today's theme is about the offering that a devotee gives to Krishna, right? So now Krishna, he is the one who knows the hearts of all living entities. He's the Paramatma, right? Brahmanyo Brahmanam Krishno Bhagavan Prahasam Priyam Premna Nirikshanenaiva Prekshan Kalau Satam Gatihi. This Brahmanyo Brahmanam Krishna, this Krishna, he knows the heart of every living entity. Sarva Bhuta Mano Abhignya, the one who knows the heart of every living entity, the one who's the well-wisher of all the Brahmanas. He saw this Dvija's mukha, seeing the face and the heart of this Dvija, this Brahmana, Lord Hari, he glanced at him. Krishna knows perfectly the hearts of all living beings, especially his devoted to Brahmanas. So when they both were conversing, Krishna started laughing as he was glancing at the Brahmana. He was smiling and laughing at him, looking at him with affection. Why did he laugh? Why did he smile looking at him with affection? Because he knew this Sudama, he's a devotee and he's trying to hide something from me. He's Sarva Bhuta Mano Abhignya, meaning he knows the minds of all the living entities. He could tell at once that his friend Sudama had brought something for him, but he was very ashamed to give that gift. So Lord Krishna smiled and he thought, you brought something for me. I'm going to make you show what you brought for me. You think you can hide that from me? You are going to show it to me. So he started laughing and he thought, how long are you going to keep this precious thing hidden in your cloth? This is the most precious gift. Why is it most precious? Because it is filled with love and it was brought. It was brought with so much affection by Sudama. So he was laughing. He started laughing. He thought, how long are you going to keep it hidden? And he was glancing at that bundle, a little bundle, and he could see the veins were showing out from Sudama's skin. He was emaciated. He was wearing ragged cloth, completely torn cloth. And Krishna was smiling and thinking in his mind, tomorrow, none of these signs of poverty are going to be there with you. Everything is going to change. So Krishna reciprocates with that devotion that a devotee shows. So he said, oh Brahmana, you have brought some gift for me from your house. Even if it is a very, very tiny gift, if it is offered with pure love, it is considered very, very pleasing to me. So you should give it to me. And he quotes this famous verse. This verse was also there in Bhagavad Gita. This verse was also spoken by Krishna to Sudama. Not only did Krishna speak this in Bhagavad Gita to Arjun, he also spoke the exact same verse to Sudama. What is that verse? He says, Patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhaktya prayachadi tadaham bhakti upakritam ashnami prayatatmanaha. He says this exact words. He says, if one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or water, I will accept it. So he says, I will accept it if there is devotion. And if you see this verse, it says, Yomi bhaktya prayachati tadaham bhakti upakritam. So it appears that this word, the word bhakti is redundant. It is used again and again. The use of the words bhaktya prayachati and bhakti upakritam seem redundant. They both mean offered with devotion. But bhaktya can indicate how the Lord reciprocates with a devotional mood of whatever is offered to him with love. He says, Ashnami prayatatmanaha. That means even if you give me a flower, I will eat it. That's what Krishna is trying to tell here. Meaning, because you're giving it with love. When Vidura or Vidurani, the wife of Vidura, however the story is being told to you, when a banana peel was given, he ate it. Banana peel should not be eaten. The banana should be eaten. But here also Krishna is telling, Ashnami prayatatmana. Patram, pushpam, phalam, poem. Even pushpam, he's ready to eat. Chakravarti Pad says, he doesn't make distinction. It's offered with love, I will take it. So like that, Krishna is telling, I'm even ready to eat a flower which is supposed to be smelled. Why? Because I'm bewildered by your love. Bewildered by your love, I cannot make a distinction between banana peel and banana. You think Krishna cannot make a distinction between banana peel and banana? He can, but he's so bewildered by the love of the devotee. The devotee is also bewildered. The devotee who's giving the banana peel is bewildered. As much as the devotee is bewildered, Krishna who's accepting it is also bewildered. That's why he's eating it over and over. So, that's when Chakravarti Pad says, but however, the question is asked to the Lord. So, will you refuse an offering made by you to a devotee of some other deity? The Lord answers, yes, I will refuse it and I will not eat it. This is because the Lord states Prayatatmana, implying only by devotional service to me one can become pure in heart. If we are having other agendas, if our focus is elsewhere and we are just doing it like a ritual, Krishna says, I'm not really accepting it. It's only a ritual. I'm not truly accepting it. I will accept it only if there is love and devotion. So like this, when Krishna was asking, give that gift that you're trying to hide, of course, our Sudama was very embarrassed and he was thinking, how can I give this palm full of dried flat rice? Because this flat rice had become dried in the travel. It would be so hard on the stomach. He was thinking, how can I give this to the husband of goddess of fortune? And he just put his head down in shame. He was thinking, this is not something that is presentable. I don't want to give it. But then Krishna could fully understand and he thought, my dear friend, in the past he has worshipped me. Actually, he has come here only to satisfy his wife. His wife wanted him to beg for some opulence, but he has no intention of begging. And he has so much love for me. So I will give him more than the riches that he can even dream of. This is what Krishna was thinking. It is interesting, of course, I mean, we'll get into the further details, but anyhow, Krishna, he snatches that piece of cloth that was tied with the flat rice, and he tells his friend, did you bring this for me? It is so wonderful. And he takes a few grains of flat rice and he puts it into his mouth. And of course, you all know the story, how Rukmini stops him. Rukmini stops him because she thinks that if you eat all of this, then what will happen to the rest of us? We also need some. My co-wives and me, our servants, we also need a little bit. So why don't you distribute some for us? You know, stop with one mutti, one handful of rice. She's also thinking that this rice will upset my husband's stomach. You know, out of a loving wife will always think like that. And there are different commentaries. Okay, Sridhara Swami says she's thinking, how much will you eat? Just by the mere glance of mine, all the riches are obtained by him. So don't force me to surrender myself to this Brahmana. I will become a maidservant in this Brahmana's house. So like that, there are different commentaries, but with one mouthful, Sudama attained everything. Now, why did Krishna accept this handful of poha? Simply because it was offered with love and devotion. He was fully satisfied. Okay. And Sudama, he was very, very happy after this entire episode. When he was walking back home also, he was thinking, how nice, I got the opportunity just to see the Lord. Thank goodness I didn't ask him for wealth. It would be such an embarrassment if I had asked for wealth. I got something higher than even wealth, that is getting the audience of the Lord. So that was the mode of Sudama. But the Lord so lovingly accepted that handful of rice. And he was thinking, Krishna is so devoted to the Brahmana, somehow or the other, I have seen this love for him. And he thinks this very, very beautiful, there's a very beautiful verse that I wanted to read in this realizations of Sudama. Sudama says, Kwaham daridra papiyan, kwa Krishna Sriniketanah, Brahma Bandhur iti smaham, bahubhyam parirambita. Who am I? A very sinful, poor friend of a Brahmana. Who is Krishna? He is the supreme personality of Godhead, full in six opulence. Nonetheless, he has embraced me with his two arms. This exact verse was also spoken by one other personality. Exact same verse, exact words. Any guesses who that was? Anybody wants to guess? It's in Chaitanya Leela. This person was embraced by the Lord and he was in a terrible condition. His body was not fit for an embrace.
Sanatan Goswami?
You're close.
Yes, Sanatan Goswami.
One more person, very close.
Vasudev.
Vasudeva.
Vasudeva.
Vipra.
Exactly. Yes, he said the exact same verse. Kwaham daridraha papiyan, kwa Krishna Srini Ketanaha, Brahma Bandhur iti smaham, bahubhyam parirambita. That Krishna, who's the husband of the goddess of fortune, he has embraced me. I'm such a lowly person. So he thinks like that and he goes. And finally, you all know the exact story, how he finds that this entire residence has completely changed. And he's actually thinking, even at this time, I'm so glad that I didn't ask for wealth, and the Lord didn't give me wealth. Even before he saw this palace that was transformed, all this he was thinking in his mind while walking. Thank goodness the Lord didn't give me wealth, because I got something much higher than wealth. I got the embrace of the Lord. So that's what he was thinking. Otherwise, if I had got the wealth, I would have become very proud that I got the wealth of the Lord. So he says, this is real compassion. I'm so happy that the Lord was compassionate that he did not grant me wealth. Thank goodness I didn't get intoxicating wealth. That's what he thinks. But then when he goes, he sees that everything has changed. Everything has become completely different. Now his house has become a palace. His wife has become extremely rich. And he has also become rich, and his hunger and everything is no more going to be there. He was completely taken care of by the Lord. Now, there is something interesting that the commentators write in this section. They say that there are two kinds of people. One kind of persons who are generally poor, they are averse to material enjoyment. They don't want material enjoyment. They don't want sense gratification. They are completely averse to it. Like Jada Bharat, Vishnu Chakravarti says, like Jada Bharat. For such people, Krishna will not give wealth and trouble them. But there are some others who are neutral. Okay, even if they have, it doesn't matter. They have wealth, it doesn't matter. They don't have wealth also, it doesn't matter. Only for people who are neutral, Krishna will give material. If you're averse to it, unnecessarily he will not trouble you. Now, in the case of Sudama, initially he was averse, Chakravarti Pad says. Initially he was averse. So Krishna did not give him anything. But then when his wife made a plea, he thought it's okay, let me just go and at least see Krishna. When he thought it is okay, that is when he became neutral. And at this point in time, he was able to receive what Krishna had to give. And also, Jiva Goswami mentions there was a slight trace of pride in Sudama. He was thinking, I am poverty stricken, and that is indeed a great qualification. There was a slight pride in his heart, and that pride was eradicated when that wealth was given. And yes, Sudama was a great devotee, so he always remained fixed in the lotus feet of the Lord, and this wealth did not disturb him. So Krishna also knows who can handle it, who cannot handle it. So that's why the wealth was given to Sudama. And there's a very interesting Phalashruti. Generally we say, oh, if somebody is very poor, why don't you read Sudama Charitra and you'll become rich? No, that is not the Phalashruti of this section. The Phalashruti of this section says that if anyone who reads or hears this account of the Supreme Lord's kindness to the Brahmana, what will happen to them? They will develop this kind of love that Sudama developed for the Lord, and they will become free from the bondage of material work. The Phalashruti is not you will get more and more entangled in riches. No, you will become free, completely free from bondage, and you will develop the greatest of all riches, which is the deep love for Krishna, just like how Sudama had. That is the Phalashruti of this section. So we see how these devotees, their heart and soul is Krishna, and Krishna is willing to give himself to such devotees. So we'll stop here. And if there are any questions, comments, or realizations, we can take that.
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances. Preethi Vilasini Mataji, thank you so much for a very beautiful and interactive class. You spoke about when one has a lot of opulences, and that fills one with a lot of pride. The more opulences we have, the more pride we have. But the Lord is only seeing and caring for pure devotees, and anything offered with pure love and devotional service, Lord accepts right away. But when one thinks, oh, I have money, I have this, I have that, I can buy this for the temple and so forth, but that person can never please the Lord, or the Lord just doesn't care for such people. And also you spoke about one should never think that Lord's devotee or servants is a very low position. When being Lord's servant or devotee, even though they might not have a lot of material opulences, but that's actually the highest position one can attain. You also mentioned about being a devotee is something internal and not material. And real bhakti is when one is thinking how one can satisfy the Lordship and not thinking how to satisfy their own senses. and being, but also, but only thinking of how one satisfy the and serve the Lordship selflessly without any motive, and they can get the mercy of the Lordship. You also mentioned one's consciousness should be fixed on Narayana. You also mentioned after getting liberated, one does not fade or disappear, but they always engage in the service of the Lordship. As you mentioned, if one offers anything with love and pure, sincere devotional service, then absolutely Krishna accepts it. Thank you very much for narrating the very beautiful pastime of Sudama. Very beautiful quotes you shared. Excellent class, Mataji. I have just one question. So, why was Sudama so poor? Was it something from his past life, or?
He was averse to material enjoyment. It was a situation that he was very poor. He was a Brahmana. He was very poor. Not much details was given what led him to poverty. But the point is, he was not disturbed by poverty in the sense that he was so renounced. Yeah. What led him to it? It could be maybe previous birth. We don't know. Yeah. Of course, I think Mahabharata has some story that I don't know if that story is legitimate. I don't know. Something that in Mahabharata itself they tell the story, right? Or something like he didn't. I don't know. There is something he didn't
Hare
give
Krishna Mataji.
share food or something with Krishna. I don't know how legitimate that is, but we'll figure it out. Yeah, if that was the reason. Yeah.
Thank
Yes,
you
ma'am.
thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you so
Hare
much,
Krishna.
Shivani. Yes, Yashomati.
Hare Krishna Mataji, whatever you talk about the story, I just remember I heard only, okay, so I don't know. But when they were in the Gurukul, Sudama and Lord Krishna, the Guru, Sandipani Rishi, they just sent him to take some wood from the forest. And at that time, Guru's Patni gave the chana, chana, right? So at that time, too much rain and everything came, and Krishna was hungry, and he was hungry, but still Sudama was so hungry, so he just ate the Krishna's part also. That's what I heard, and that's why he became like a poor. That's what I heard, Mataji, in Katha, but I don't know.
Yeah.
And then it was in the Vidata. He just wrote it down. She wrote it down, Sri Kshayaha. And then Krishna, when he went to Krishna's house, Krishna does Sri Yaksha Sri. He did opposite. About of Sri Kshayaha, so Lakshmi is totally, he get poor. So Vidata write it down on his forehead. And then Krishna made him reverse, Yaksha Sri. So too much wealth, like a Yaksha. You can get like that.
Nice.
I heard in the Katha Mataji before, in Dongre Maharaj Katha.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Yashomati
And
Mataji, for sharing.
such a wonderful class, Mataji. You compare Kolacha Sridhar and Sudama's story, how Krishna did the washes the feet of the Sudama, and he sprinkled that water on his head. Same thing here, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, he drank the water from the Kolacha Sridhar's path so very nicely. So always the Lord gives himself when devotee gives anything with love and devotion to Lord Krishna, and he just give the reciprocate their love and everything. Very nice, Mataji.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Thank you for the beautiful additions. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna devotees, if you have any questions or realizations, please go ahead and share.
Thank you, Mataji, for the beautiful, beautiful class. Very grateful to you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Paran Prabhuji, please go ahead.
Please add.
Haribol Mata. Danvat Pranam to everyone. This reminds me of a very favorite slok of mine from first canto, 18th chapter, where it says, Nauttam slok vartam justam tat kathamutam syat sambramo antakale smartam tat padambujam. Anyone who is engaged in relishing Srimad Bhagavatam daily in his life will have no problem remembering Lord Krishna's lotus feet at the end.
Beautiful.
Such a beautiful slok that every day we do satsang in the morning. Every day. So it's a great boon we have from your sadhu sangha group, you know. So I just wanted to share that, Mata. Haribol.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much. We are so fortunate to get your Sangha also, and that's how we are all flourishing. Thank you.
Thank you, Paralanda Prabhuji, for sharing your beautiful realization.
Okay.
Haribol, Mata.
Can
Sukhsavi Mataji is saying very informative.
I?
Hare Krishna and dear devotees, if there are no more realizations, I would like to thank Her Grace Preethi Vilasini Mataji for her valuable time and association this morning. Thank you for a very, very beautiful class, Mataji. Very grateful to you. I would like to pay my obeisances to Her Grace Preethi Vilasini Mataji and all the assembled devotees. Do I have your permission to close the call, Mataji?
Sure, Mataji. Vancha
Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhu cha patitanam pavnebhyo vaishnavyo namo namah. Samasta Vaishnavinda ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sri Caitanya Bhagavata ki jai. Hare Grace Preethi Vilasini Mataji ki jai.
Jai.
Krishna
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 Mataji.
Mataji. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna Mataji. Dandavat pranams. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.